Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the GamerDad channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today we're going to be looking at one major mistake that you can make while you're actually leveling up your character. So for those of us who are under shade level 1000, and I know this is my other character, some of you may be jumping on me saying you're not shade level 1000 yet. Well, I have multiple characters that I've spent time just developing, so I never necessarily have reached 1000 shade level on any character. But nonetheless, if you add them all up, I got shade level 1000 somewhere to give you if that's what you want. But this is something that some of my clanmates were kind of warning me about yesterday, and it's a mistake that I made, and that's in your shade watch. Now, this design for the shade watch, I have to give a small criticism before I move on. I just think it's a really interesting design because the shade level points kind of distribute themselves evenly across the 5 different categories. In fact, even one for your scavenging, which in many cases can be situational because you can always get the scavenging materials that are available. I mean, it's not a big, huge rocket scientific deal if you get what I mean. Now, here's something. In the damage sector, it's very tricky. Now, the other sectors, I guess you can go ahead and kind of pick out whatever it is you want to, go with, like in the, the defensive or the handling or the utility. It's almost straightforward because the others are kind of weird or wonky. But in damage, there are so many different aspects of damage that you have to consider. And the big mistake that I made was starting to first, in terms of using my weapon damage for the offensive, I started to level up weapon damage. That was a bad idea. My, clanmates basically slapped some sense into me and said, I should have gone with critical hit damage. And I saw that. In fact, I was telling them, I was like, guys, I made a big mistake and my character feels like they are not hitting very well for my raids. And I get it, I then went for critical hit chance and blew 32 straight points. And this is something that I could have just put into critical, critical hit damage and probably gotten, 32%, or sorry, whatever that percentage is of the 32 out of 50, whatever the heck it is at this point, probably somewhere around, 10 or 11% critical hit damage. And that could have been fun. And perhaps even the, so-called 6%, weapon damage that I've gotten is even really weird. It's such a small value that I really did drop the ball on this one. So do not make this mistake when you're leveling up your character if you're doing the offensive side of things. Now, even other stats like headshot damage also have a higher value, like 20%, so that's actually worth your time. Now, some of you who may be veterans, you're probably looking at me going like, dude, that's something that was obvious. Well, I've already leveled my PC character to like 750 or so, and I didn't really pay attention. I already had the stats to just kind of go everywhere, and so I didn't really pay attention in a sense, looking carefully at that detail. So it's a mistake that I made, and I'm just ensuring that nobody else makes this mistake. Now, Ubisoft Massive, I would say in the future, you guys need to kind of put this, things like these in a box where you get the points and you can respec them to whichever, stat you want to, because as you're developing your character, you don't want to be locked in, having stats in places that you don't need. Currently, I play a lot of raids with this character, and it'd be nice to not have to worry about having all these skill damage points that I'm necessarily not using every time, nor having these handling points where I could just spec and get my offensive 100% completed, basically choosing where I want my points to go, or having the ability to respec them after I finish. If I want to change build or change play styles, there should have been, in my opinion, a flexibility around the shade level system. Now, I say that because there is a flexible system around the specializations. You can respec your specializations. You can basically respec a specific element in your, in your quest to get your specializations maxed out. So in my opinion, I sit here and I'm laughing to myself and saying, so what was the point in not allowing for, us to be able to have that capability in the shade items, especially seeing that it's an update that was actually added later on. So these are just some design qualms that I have so far. It's nothing, in my opinion anyways, that should be game breaking, but I think it's significant enough to be able to kind of caution anybody who may be getting their shade level, character up. There are a lot of shade level players, that have similar shade levels around the hundreds, the 200s, the 300s. So it might be something you really want to pay attention to. And since you cannot help yourself as to where your shade points are going, you might want to prioritize in regard to offensive that the critical, hit damage might be one of the first ones that you want to go to. Now, here's also another thing. You might say, well, weapon damage is actually pretty cool and all of that stuff. The truth is you can get a lot of weapon damage from all of your gear if you're running on rocking reds. It doesn't really change much, and even you can get specific weapon damage for your weapons that you want to use. If you use the Badger Tough, it already gives you 10% shotgun damage. You're not really going to feel that 10% shotgun damage if you're running a crit build, but there are so many items that grant you all kinds of different fun crits. Grupo Sombra is one of them. It gives you 15% crit damage. Providence gives you also at the, on the second and third, you get 10% crit chance and 15% crit damage. And so there's a higher value to those things because you can stack up crits in many places if, that's what you want. And crits actually do a better job because of the interaction between critical hit chance and critical hit damage. The amount of damage that you have as a critical hit damage is pretty much multiplied by the chance that you have to deal the critical hit chance and scales by the amount of critical hit damage that you have. I don't know if that even made sense, but you get what I mean. It's a higher value in terms of the hits that you basically land on an enemy with your weapon. And seeing that there's a lot of crit chance available on gear and you can basically capitalize on that 20% from your Shade Watch, it really does make sense that, you're going that route first. In fact, even in terms of headshot damage, I would argue that headshot damage is also another spec that you can put, your credits in even before you touch crit chance and even before you go too far in your weapon damage. And that's because headshot damage over here is giving you a 20% max value. Now, if you're making a build that's centered around headshots, for some of us who, are quite comfortable landing headshots, whether you're on PC or whether you're on console, whatever it is, note that there's also a lot of opportunity to get headshots. And for some reason, the gear drops actually scale more to having headshot damage on a lot of build items. You'll see some items will come with headshot damage, and then there are also headshot damage mods. Just like there are also, critical hit damage mods as well. I guess you can make that argument that the critical hit damage mods also give you a higher value, like 12% or so. Headshot damage mods give you 10% at max, which is higher than the 6% critical hit chance that you get from a critical hit chance mod. So I just wanted to profile all of this so that you guys could see and actually add your own input in the comment section as to how you think an agent should best structure their shade points. But again, Massive basically did this as a gating system. Our clan members were talking about this yesterday, and they were like, yeah, this was a way for people to just kind of slow down in their progression. And I think it's kind of redundant, honestly, but it is what it is. When I hit shade level 1000, I guess I'll probably go ahead and level up a 40 character and get my shade points to multiply and get another character all leveled up. But honestly, I doubt I'll do it, man. All the work and all the stress that I've gone through to get these specializations on. This is my third time I've done all the specializations. Actually, twice, sorry. I have another character on PC where I had to unlock these 3 by doing all of the field, projects and all that stuff. It was a nightmare. All right, that's it for me in this video. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for all of your participation and even the support on this channel. Hopefully we'll talk in another video. Appreciate y'all so much. Peace out.